it kind of reminds me of the real estate bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, that's what happened. There was cheap money out there. The government, these banks, they knew just by the sheer volume that they were rolling out loans to people that couldn't afford the loans in the first place. But they ultimately knew if we make this bubble big enough, the government's going to have to come in, and if this thing blows up, which it did, that we the people, the federal government, would come in and bail the whole situation out, which they did. And it seems to me the same kind of thing, because when you had the lending for student loans privatized, you were forcing the banks to look at each loan. Does this individual have the ability to repay said loan? And there was guardrails, right? There was a guardrail on the whole scenario. And when the federal government comes in and says, all right, well, we'll guarantee all these loans, what they did was they lifted all the risks, or much of the risk, off the banks. So the banks were like, do they pay the loan back? We don't care.
Nope.
We don't care. Yeah. So I could totally see that scenario where the colleges are like, okay, so we know we have to, in order to feed this machine, and we're going to talk in a little while about exactly what Jim's talking about with this growth and costs. We know we need to feed this machine of the college experience, this college complex that's evolved over the years. So in order to do that, we have to get butts in the seat. So we now know that the students can get in and they have access willy-nilly. They're almost printing their own money. Mm-hmm. And so they can set the price. I would argue, and I think this goes on, and guys, we're trying to dig this up, but I believe there's price fixing. We got hints of it through this big lawsuit that Jim and I talked about last week. There's been some hints of what's going on. There's a court case dealing with Asian American students that we went into detail last week about, that was getting, basically they were getting hosed. And these details came out in this court case about these major Ivy League colleges that were fixing their prices. And do you think they stopped that after that case went through?
No, they still haven't.
Probably not. They're still doing it.